What's going on, everybody? We got a night out here in the barn. We're finally going to do a little bit more work on the Miata, and honestly, we're really just cutting it up, really, to be honest with you. So we've gotten a couple things cut so far that I kind of forgot to film. So hopefully going forward I can get some of that sort of documented. At least I got a little bit more to do on the one side and some more finishing work to do where I'm at. But just kind of tonight the job's going to be to get some more of the rocker cut and some more of that sort of figured out exactly how I'm going to do things. But for now, I guess I'll just show you where I'm at so we can see what's going on here. So I got these LS headers on a small block Ford, and the plan is just to run them into the cab, run them back out of the cab, run them down the side of the car. I got some templates I've made to basically make these work on a small block Ford head. It's an AFR head with a 3-inch bolt spacing, so it'll work. I just got to do a little machine work to them. But when I first put them on here, I didn't realize that these heads have this tiny little lip right here, and I was actually pushing these out in a funny way. So it was sitting good and clearing pretty well, but I had to do some more notching, and where I actually started the hole ended up being really ugly. So we'll have to make that pretty later, but for now that's kind of how we're gonna set this side. But then when we walk around the side of the car here last night, I got real carried away with the Sawzall, and most of the rocker is now missing. And that is where my muffler is going to go, which I can kind of demonstrate that here a second. Let me grab that. So I can hold this up here, like it fits up in this hole pretty well. That's a 4-inch diameter muffler outer, I guess you'd call it, with the 3-inch pipe. It's just a resonator. It's not going to do much muffling. But my hope is that it'll sit right about here. Outside of the fender is mostly where I want this to go. If I got to notch the fender to make it work, that's cool too. I think that'll be fine. And I kept it short of the back of the car so that the passenger getting out may be able to avoid burning their leg on it. It mounts right to, it's right behind the mount for the front of the seat. So that's about where I laid it out. That's where it is. So I got a lot more trimming to do with this, which I'm hoping to document some of that tonight. But if someone's looking for some of the internals of this sucker, there's quite a bit of stuff going on in here. A lot of this you can see I kind of hacked to pieces, and it ain't pretty by any means, but I'll make it look a lot better going forward. Just for now, just to kind of let anybody see what they want to see if they're trying to do something similar. The other thing is we'll come to the inside here. I did cut it's a 4 and a, let me look, it's on this saw. This right here, it says it somewhere. Right here. 3.5, right there. 3.5-inch hole saw. I basically set it on the bottom of the floor here. And drilled that sucker through there. I'll weld that little bugger seam right there. I'll weld that back together so it's pretty and holding up good. But then my 3-inch pipe fits through there like a glove. And you can see up here is where my other pipe comes through. So I got some merging I'll have to do in this vicinity. And the passenger's going to have some warm feet, but that's besides the fact. So if I get this just right, you can actually see that pipe in there and kind of see how this is going. There's like a big opening in here that I'm gonna basically notch this down to allow it to come through here. I'm hoping to leave this portion of the rocker kind of intact, because I know that this carries a lot of strength in this particular area, just because of its shape and how it's held in there. So I'm going to try to get the pipe that I'm adding in here to go back in here, but not go up here. And I'll close this off in some particular way. Not 100% sure I'm going to do that yet, but I'll figure it out as I go. So for now, that's kind of where we're at. there's not a whole lot of progress that's happened, but that's kind of what has happened so far. I'm going to try to get some of this cut up, and some of it kind of worked in so that the pipe fits. That's kind of my goal, like the piece I'm welding back in there. Once I have that sort of in there, then I can move forward and keep making things look pretty, I guess, is the way I'm going to call it. Because really, it ain't going to look super pretty. I'm not a great fabricator. A lot of this I'm learning as I go. And I don't have a lot of tools. And I'm using a jigsaw and a hacksaw and a sawzall and a angle grinder, which I hate those, so I try to avoid those as much as I can. But for now, that's enough of me blabbering. We'll get to working. Here we go. Alright, so we got a little bit of washout from the lights in here, but I gotta be able to see what I'm doing. Right now I'm gonna be using the Sawzall. You can see the lights flicker. I got quite the janky setup out here, but I gotta do what I gotta do. This piece of stuff has been well loved. This is actually a pretty nice setup. So right now I'm gonna cut this along this pinch weld. I'm trying not to cut any of the pinch weld away. Really don't want to lose any of the internal structure of this thing. I know it would be a lot easier if I cut it farther in here, but I'm really trying to avoid that. So without further ado, here we go. Light. Want me to shed some light on the subject? Huh. It's kind of loud, you know. Here's another chunk of this. Jay-o-lee. Alright, well anyways, that little bolt, nut, is what holds the fender on, so that's going to be a problem later that we'll have to deal with. But that's a problem for future me. Current me don't care. You know, I should probably just keep going with this Sawzall. That's pretty thick stuff right here, which is kind of nice. I have to cut some of that out there too. Alright, here we go again. Back to it. Uh-oh. Got into the pinch a little bit. That's okay. Let's see. I need to go the other way. Whoops. That was exciting. This is hot, so I don't touch that. Uh-oh. Well, some of that is my problem. Don't leave those in your thing when they break. This feels dangerous. Let's do this way first. We'll come back to that. Maybe I should go back the other way again. I think sometimes the hardest part about this job is figuring out how to do it. Not doing it, just figuring out how the world am I going to do this. Out of the way, out of the way. Alright, here we go again. Maybe. Some wheeling and dealing on this unit. Whoops. Still pretty good in here. We'll hit this all with the flappy on the angle grinder. Clean it all up. And we'll probably hit this too. Maybe I can get that a little better with the Sawzall. Oh, that's bad again. Man. These blades are pretty much junk. I only got a couple more too, so it's... Damn! Alright, well, hold on. Fire and rescue to the rescue. I don't really care what this looks like, I just want it done. Alright, it's gone. No longer problem. Other problems, but essentially, I'd say if you're worried about your precious Miata looking all perfect and pretty after this job, this ain't the object for you. But this is a race car, so it'll be okay. Some people might say, why the heck are you going through all of this trouble for running exhaust? Shouldn't that be pretty easy? And I tell you, yes, that should be pretty easy. But for some reason, Ford decided to put the starter in a pretty crappy spot on most of these. And to get the exhaust through there is a pain in the butt. And most of them come out into the fender well and then go back under the car. I didn't want to go back under the car because that looks stupid. You get this like pretzel-y looking thing. So, yeah, run down the side because there's some pretty sweet race cars that do this right now. And that's where I got my bad decisions from. So, okay. Raw material products. It's like, basically, it's like they made Miatas out of paper clips. So you just gotta wiggle them back and forth a little bit, and then they break apart, and you can move on to the next part of the job. I do understand that it's just a property of steel, so whatever. But, okay, one more thing I'd like to cut, but I kind of want that to be pretty, and I found one more blade, so give me a minute. All right, here we go. We're gonna keep cutting, hacking this. Oh man, I don't want to do that. Oh, actually, I do want to do that because I just cut that whole thing out. All right, let's cut that out. Right there down to that circle. Destroy my blade. So I did get that out of the way. Now, I can make some basket. See what I'm talking about here in a minute. Here, I'll move this down here. This is not a job for the weary, I tell you what. This kind of sucks. Switch this around. So right in here is that opening I was talking about earlier with the pipe coming through there. I'm just going to cut that out of the way. I don't really care what that looks like, I don't think. For now, I don't. But that's where my pipe has to end up going, so that's where I'm going to have to send it. For now, we're just going to get that crap out of the way. So I think mostly I'm just going to be in the way. I'll make sure my focus is in the right spot here. But we're going to try to cut this along here. I think it kind of hurts when it kicks back and hits you in the leg. I guess it's better than hitting you in the nuts. That wouldn't feel very good at all. Alright, let's do the pop bottle. What do they call these stupid things? Paper clip. Paper clip trip. If I was good at editing, I put in there wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Okay, let's see. Does this pipe go all the way through the hole now? No, comrade, it does not. I can't see. More light. Oh, I was so close. Almost worked. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That is perfection. Heck, I could leave it like that. I should have not done any of this. No, I gotta put muffler on it. Just like that. Boom! We got loud, banging, zipping and popping. Comes out of there pretty nice too, which is not what I expected. Do a little fit here. That goes straight through there. I didn't need to cut so much of this away. which isn't the end of the world. I mean, it didn't fit like I wanted it to, I guess, but have a little bit of a camp. I have some of these just random pieces of stuff. Like this elbow is a lot, well, it's got this Vic welded onto it. I call them Vics because I work at a fire truck company, and that's what essentially we use to connect everything. It's instead of a external, it's internal. It's cut into the pipe, so this is welded externally. The V-band is set for up there. That is a sharper 90. I have another one of these than like this regular bent pipe. So let's see here. Let's see. Anyways, so this fits tighter in there. That was. I really wanted it to go right there. That's a continued job. I think I'm getting somewhere. I gotta clean all this up, which I can show you. Let me show you. I got some boogers. I gotta get rid of those. And you know, this car is definitely not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. It's been painted. It used to be blue, now it's red. And it was kind of shoddily painted. So it ain't pretty. There's big rust holes in it. That's why I'm not caring too much about how it looks. There's my hole goes inside the car. Whoa, everybody have a headache. Some of the other stuff I've been cutting away, make it kind of work. Trying to not get my light in the way. There we go. I don't know. We'll see. I gotta do a bunch of cleaning up on this edge. I'm gonna shut this down for now, and I'll come back when I got it all cleaned up, and we'll go from there. Cool. All right, I'm back. I did a bunch of grinding and made a huge mess. My light's starting to die, but I ground off a lot of that, kind of cleaned up the edge, cleaned up some of this, just kind of went along. Made it not as nasty. It's still nasty inside, but most of that will be hidden because I got this pipe that's laying over there that I gotta cut. So that's kind of next on the agenda. It's figuring out how to hack this. I don't know if my Sawzall's gonna do a good job on that, but alright, so I put a couple of marks on here where I need this cut, and essentially there's a straight line right here. It goes all the way down the thing to some dirt, but that's where I need it cut, and I need it to be pretty straight. Same deal here, but this one doesn't have the straight, nice, pretty line. And then I'll clean all this up, and this is the piece that the pipe goes through there. So it's not. Gonna see how clear it is. It's hard to tell because my camera ain't perfect. It ain't perfectly super square, but I do feel like if I cut it this way, it would work better than if I cut it like to length and then that way. Because if I cut it to length, I have to cut it through the whole thing, and I have to kind of keep that somewhat square. If I cut it down the length of it, I gotta keep that nice and square. But there isn't anything I can do different about that part of it. So if I cut it down the length of it, I have less of it to keep square later, which I think is easier. But I'm not sure. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna give it a try. Either it'll work or it won't. See what happens, I guess. Okay, so I don't have any string, but I have some trimmer string. So I think what I'm gonna do is put this underneath the pipe. Like that. Pull it up here. I mean, at least it's a straight line. Yeah. I don't know if it'll work or not, but we're gonna try it. It's a little wiggly. No, that didn't work. This is hard. Why does it gotta be so hard? It's like, probably for some of you guys that are watching this, are probably like, you idiot, you're supposed to do this. You're right. I don't know. I'm figuring it out as I go. Okay, new plan. I have a piece of angle. Oh, it's not long enough. But it physically can't sit on here crooked. Because if it did that, it wouldn't be an angle. So I can draw a pretty much perfectly straight line because of that. So let me draw this. Also, yes, if you're wondering, it's very cold in here. I don't have my heater on. It's all of like 30 degrees outside, and every breath I take, every move I make, I am freezing cold. So it's freezing my pen, it's freezing my fingies, it's freezing me. Okay, look, I did it. See? Oh, no, you can't see. It's right here. See that line? That line is straight. And that line is, not this one. This line is straight. So using a piece of angle, just a little angle. Like if the angle is like straight. Let's see here. It's pretty straight. If the angle is straight, those 2 points down the length of this can't sit crooked if they're sitting down on it. Like it has to be straight. Like if you put it on here crooked, it's not on there. So you line it up, right? Like maybe you can get it a little out of the line. No, not really. You can't, because if you push it down, it's perfectly straight. It has to be. Physically. So that's how that will work. Now I can cut this. Maybe. We'll see. We'll give it a try. Now I did all this work to get this, like, oops, sorry. Get this about as square as I can get it, right? It's straight and whatnot. And I'm going to use a Sawzall to cut it. Alright. So you're set up to watch this, but dangerously. And I hope my phone doesn't fall to its doom. That's all. This, I think this should go in line, pretty straight. That is so far off track. Alright, well, unfortunately, I think I gotta do it laying down, which is precarious. Not ideal. We're gonna give it a try one more time, because this, we did one of those. So. That's so loud. Holy cow. I probably should have put some earballs in. That was intense. Look how much tension is underneath it. Oh, you can't see nothing. Look at that. That's pretty straight. Straight as a plasma torch. I mean, more or less. It's not bad. Could have been better, could have been worse. But holy smokes, it's loud. I gotta do something about that. There's people trying to sleep in this town. Man, oh man, oh man. My ears are ringing. If anybody ever says that I don't have hearing loss, it's probably not true. Owie! There is a platypus. You did what? Bing! Holy crap, that's so loud. That's the only bugger. The big slot that I did not do very straight. So the good news is I have one more opportunity to cut it to length. I mean, it worked. It definitely worked. Next time, don't do it that way. Ugh. All right, we're back again. I think this will be the last thing we do tonight, and then we gotta move on. It's Christmas Eve, so the wife's probably inside thinking, when the heck is this dude coming back? So, anyways, we're gonna make this final cut, and then we're gonna see how it fits in the thing. Right, this might hurt. Wowza, that is a pain in the booty. All right, we're gonna go over here and give this a test fit. My favorite. Okay, so here's the hole. Here's the piece. Oops. Okay, hold on. Watch out. We're doing some tipping edge. All right, don't fit perfect. We're a little too tight. How about we do one of these numbers though? Because this is how I think I had it in here initially. Yep. Dagnabbit, I'm a 1/4 inch long. Hold please. So I'm not really sure how I'm gonna make all that work, because I gotta cut like a hole in the pipe, 1/4 piece, 1/3 piece, I don't know. It's just something like that. So either I'm gonna cut like a notch in it, or I'll just cut it with my hole saw. Probably gonna do that because I can actually cut like the whole thing, but I feel like I need it to be in place before I do that. So I gotta think about it a little bit more. It's gonna take me some time. I'm not gonna do any more of that tonight. I do think I'm gonna be done for now. I don't know. I feel like we got a lot done tonight, so that's at least good in my book. This is my first or second one of these, probably the first one that you've ever seen. So once I'm done editing these things and putting them up, we'll see how it goes. If you guys have input, suggestions, things you want to see, things you don't want to see, questions, it's cool. I'll try my best. I think, though, my problem is I like to talk about what I'm doing. I talk a lot out loud about what I'm doing, some of why. So if you miss something of a why, you just gotta tell me. I'll try to figure it out. But really, we're just working along. It's a very, very slow process. This is as cheap as you can probably get. This pipe that I'm cutting up to make my rockers out of cost me more than the car did. So it's tough. It's really hard. That's why this is taking so long. But that's it for now. I have to figure out how the heck I'm going to sign this off at some point. But today, that's it. And we will see you later.